I've been wrestling with the difference in our ages, a silent struggle that I thought I could overcome. But as time passes, it becomes more apparent that it's not just about numbers. It's about the experiences we missed, the paths we walked separately before our lives intertwined. I wish I could say it doesn't matter, but sometimes it feels like a gap too wide to bridge. The truth is, your age has always been on my mind, a lingering thought that I tried to push away. But as our connection deepens, I find myself questioning whether this difference is a blessing or a curse. It's not about the way you make me feel, because you make me feel everything, but rather about the world outside of us that seems to keep reminding me of it. Every time I look at you, I see a future that I desperately want to be a part of. Yet there's a part of me that wonders if our different timelines will ever fully align. It's not about doubting us, but rather a fear that one day we'll realize that the years between us carry more weight than we ever anticipated. I've been struggling with the fact that your age brings a certain wisdom and experience that I sometimes feel I can't measure up to. It's not that I'm intimidated by it, I'm in awe of it, but it makes me wonder if you'll one day wake up and realize that maybe I'm not enough, that our age difference is more than just a number, it's a reality. The way you live your life, so carefree and full of possibilities, is something I admire deeply. But there are moments when I wonder if I can keep up, if my years will start to show, and you'll begin to notice that maybe, just maybe, we're not on the same page after all. It's a fear I hate to admit, but it's one I can't ignore. I never thought age would be something that mattered to me, but lately, it's been harder to ignore. Not because it defines who you are, but because it reminds me of the different paths we've walked. I worry that as time goes on, these differences will become more pronounced, and I fear that one day they'll create a distance between us that we can't close. When I look at you, I see someone who has so much ahead of them, and it fills me with both hope and dread. Hope because I want to be there with you through it all, and dread because I fear that my age will hold you back, that you'll one day resent the years I've already lived without you. You have this energy, this zest for life that I absolutely adore, and I find myself drawn to it more and more. But in quiet moments, I can't help but wonder if our age difference will eventually be the elephant in the room. Will it be something we can laugh about, or will it become a barrier that we can't break through? It's hard to admit, but the difference in our ages is something that's been weighing on my heart. It's not about appearances or societal expectations, but about the fact that our timelines don't always match up. I wonder if this will become a bigger issue as we move forward, and if it will be something we can overcome together. I've been trying to ignore the fact that we're at different stages in our lives, hoping that love would be enough to bridge the gap. But as our relationship deepens, I can't help but feel that the years between us are starting to make their presence known. It's a difficult realization, one that I wish I didn't have to face. The thought of your age has been quietly gnawing at me, a fear that maybe one day you'll look at me and see someone who's lived too much or too little. It's not that I doubt our connection, but rather that I fear the world will remind us that time is not always on our side. Sometimes I wonder if our age difference is something that we'll look back on and laugh about, or if it's something that will eventually drive a wedge between us. I've tried to push these thoughts away, but they keep coming back, and I worry that they'll start to affect how we see each other. Your age is something that I've always admired. Your youthful spirit, your fresh outlook on life. But there's a part of me that worries that my own experiences, shaped by the years I've lived, will create a divide that we can't easily cross. It's a thought that I wish would go away, but it lingers, no matter how much I try to ignore it. I've been struggling with the idea that maybe our age difference will become more of an issue as time goes on. It's not something I like to think about, but the reality is that we're at different points in our lives, and I worry that one day those differences will become too much for us to handle. I never wanted to make age a factor in our relationship, but lately it's been harder to push it aside. I see the world through a different lens because of the years I've lived, and I wonder if that will eventually become something that separates us, rather than something that we can learn from. There's something about your age that I can't quite put my finger on, but it's starting to feel like an invisible wall between us. It's not that I don't adore you, I do, more than anything, but I can't help but wonder if the years we've lived apart will eventually start to weigh on us, pulling us in different directions. As much as I've tried to ignore it, the difference in our ages is something that's been occupying my thoughts more and more. I fear that one day you'll look at me and see someone who's out of sync with the vibrant life you're living, and that scares me more than I can express. I can't deny that our age difference has been on my mind lately. It's not something I wanted to focus on, but as our connection deepens, I can't help but wonder if the years between us will start to create gaps that we didn't anticipate. I want to believe we're strong enough to overcome it, but the fear lingers. Your age is something that has always fascinated me, but lately I've been struggling with the idea that it might become more of an issue as we move forward. I want to believe that love is enough to keep us together, but I can't help but worry that the world outside of us will see things differently. I've been grappling with the thought that maybe our age difference is something we need to talk about more openly. I've tried to push it aside, but the more time we spend together, the more I realize that it's something that could impact our future in ways we're not prepared for. There's a part of me that's scared to admit that our age difference has been weighing on my mind. It's not that I doubt our love, but I worry that the experiences we've had separately might start to pull us in different directions. It's a fear that's been growing stronger, even though I wish it wouldn't. I've always admired the way you embrace life, your energy, your zest for new experiences. But as time goes on, I find myself wondering if I can keep up with you, if the years between us will start to create a distance that neither of us saw coming. It's a thought that I can't seem to shake. The difference in our ages was never something I thought would matter, but lately, it's been harder to ignore. I worry that one day we'll wake up and realize that we're on different paths, that the years between us have shaped us in ways that make it difficult to stay connected. It's a fear I can't ignore. I've been struggling with the idea that maybe our age difference will become more of an issue as we move forward. It's not something I like to think about, but the reality is that we're at different stages in our lives, and I worry that one day those differences will start to pull us apart. Your age brings a certain excitement and freshness to my life that I never expected. But there's a part of me that's starting to worry that the difference in our years will eventually catch up to us. It's not something I want to focus on, but it's getting harder to ignore. I've been trying to convince myself that age doesn't matter, that the love we share is stronger than any number. But the more I think about it, the more I realize that our different life stages could become a challenge we might not be able to overcome. It's a thought that haunts me, even though I wish it didn't. There's something about your age that's been on my mind more and more lately. It's not that I see it as a flaw, quite the opposite, but I can't help but wonder if the years between us will eventually create a distance that we can't bridge. It's a fear I never expected to have, but it's here nonetheless. I've been struggling with the fact that your age brings a different perspective to our relationship, one that I deeply value, but also find intimidating. I worry that one day, the experiences we've had separately will start to pull us in different directions, and I'm not sure how to reconcile that fear. Your age is something that has always drawn me to you, your wisdom, your energy, your outlook on life. But lately, I've been struggling with the idea that maybe our different life stages will create challenges that we didn't anticipate. It's a thought that I wish would go away, but it lingers. As much as I try to focus on the present, I can't help but think about the future and how our age difference might impact it. Will we still be able to connect in the same way as the years go by? Will the things that once brought us together become the very things that drive us apart? It's a fear I hate to acknowledge, but it's real. I never wanted age to be something that came between us, but as our relationship deepens, I can't help but wonder if it will. Will we be able to grow together despite the years that separate us, or will those years create a distance that we can't close? It's a question I wish I didn't have to ask,